Please like and subscribe to my channel.
You know those crazy nutrition headlines you see that seem way too good or maybe way too controversial to be true? Yeah, we're all constantly bombarded with them. Well, today we're going to dive deep into one that's been making the rounds, basically pitting meat eaters against vegans in a longevity battle royale. So picture this. You're at a family gathering and your great aunt comes up to you, super excited with this hot tip she saw on the internet. I'm sure we've all been there. This exact claim, which actually came from a real study, has been popping up all over the place. And it's left a lot of people either celebrating with a burger or just feeling totally lost and confused. So, is there any truth to this thing, or is it just another case of a clickbait headline getting way more attention than the actual science behind it? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to do it by going straight to the source material. All right, so to really figure this out, we have to look at the study itself. And I'm not talking about some random blog post. This is a real peer-reviewed research paper from a major scientific journal. So let's break it down. Now, the details here are what make this so interesting. The researchers used this massive long-term survey to ask a very, very specific question. And this is key. They weren't looking at 30-year-olds. They were focused only on the oldest old. They took a look at thousands of people who made it to 100 and compared them to thousands who didn't to see if their diets were different. So what did they actually find that got everybody so fired up? Well, it all boils down to this one central result. And here it is. This is the finding that went viral. When they looked at this group of people over 80, they found that both vegetarians and vegans had lower odds of hitting that 100-year milestone compared to the omnivores, the folks who ate both plants and animals. But before anyone runs out to declare a victory for their diet, there is a huge piece of context that we absolutely have to understand first. And this, right here, might just be the most important part of this whole explainer. The study shows a link, a connection, an association. What it does not do, what it cannot do, is prove that eating meat causes you to live longer, or that not eating it causes you to live shorter. You've heard it before. Correlation is not causation. And in science, that distinction is everything. So if meat isn't some magic longevity pill, then what on earth is going on here? What could possibly explain this finding? Well, the answer isn't really about the dietary label, vegan, omnivore, whatever. It's about a hidden enemy. One that becomes the main thing to worry about in the last chapters of our lives. And that brings us to the real game changer here, frailty. Seriously, once you get your head around this one concept, the entire study just clicks into place. I mean, just think about it. Your health priorities change so much over your life, right? At age 35, you're probably worried about things like metabolic health, maybe some inflammation. But at age 85, it's a whole different ballgame. The main fight is against becoming frail, against losing muscle, and against simply not getting enough nutrition. The goal completely shifts from prevention to resilience. And a huge driver of that frailty is a condition called sarcopenia. It's really just a fancy medical term for the muscle loss that happens as we age. And it's a big, big deal. Less muscle means you're weaker, your balance is worse, and it gets harder to do simple things like just getting up from a chair. I love this phrase because it just nails it. Resilience is your body's superpower. It's the ability to bounce back from something bad, a fall, an infection, a hospital stay. If you don't have that resilience, a tiny setback can spiral into a permanent loss of independence. So how does this all tie back to the study? Well, you can think of animal foods as really efficient delivery systems for the building blocks of resilience. They give you that high-quality, complete protein you need to fight off muscle loss. And they come packed with critical nutrients like B12, iron, and zinc. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They are absolutely essential for your immune system and for healing. Okay, but let's be crystal clear about something. This does not mean you have to eat meat. What it means is that everyone, no matter what your diet looks like, needs to have a plan to build and maintain resilience, especially as you get older. So let's look at what that might look like. If you're an omnivore, the game plan is pretty straightforward. It's all about quality. Make protein the star of the show at most of your meals, and stop thinking of nutrient-dense foods like eggs or fish as the bad guys. They are crucial building materials for your body, especially if they're replacing empty, ultra-processed junk. For vegetarians, the key word is intentional. You can absolutely build a resilient body, but you can't just wing it. You have to ask yourself, am I really getting enough protein from different sources? Is taking my B12 supplement a non-negotiable part of my day? For some, it might even be worth considering if adding something like eggs or fish could be a strategic move to plug any nutritional gaps. And for vegans, that level of intention has to be even more precise. See, as people get older, appetites can shrink, which makes getting enough total calories and protein a real challenge on a plant-only diet. Having a rock-solid B12 plan is mandatory. And honestly, it's probably a really smart idea to talk with a doctor or a dietitian to make sure your diet is truly supporting your strength and not accidentally making you more frail. Phew, okay. So we've gone all the way from a viral headline down into the weeds of the science of frailty. So what's the real balanced takeaway from all of this? First things first, we have to remember the limits here. This is one study in one specific group of people. It doesn't prove anything. And most importantly, the health priorities for a 90-year-old are totally different than for a 35-year-old. Context is absolutely everything. So when you boil it all down, this isn't about team meat versus team plant. It's not a war between diets. The real lesson is that no matter what you call your diet, the things that really matter for healthy aging are nutritional quality, nutrient density, and making damn sure you're getting enough protein. And this is the bottom line. This is the mic drop. Start thinking about getting enough protein and nutrient-rich food not just as a diet, but as a form of protective medicine. It's the medicine that protects your strength, your independence, and your ability to bounce back as you age. So that leaves us with one final question to ask ourselves, and maybe to ask about our parents and our grandparents. It's not about the name of your diet. It's about what that diet is built to do. Is it just a random collection of habits, or is it an active, intentional plan for a strong and resilient life?